hope you are doing great. We are back with another video. Have you ever wondered why do you get sad, and if there's a deeper reason to why you are being sad, why it's showing up, and what it's trying to teach you? Well, today we'll be exploring that and speaking about it more in depth.
Excuse me.
Sadness isn't something random, it is not something you should fear, but spiritually it speaks a lot about what's happening internally, and it might be signaling to us, I don't know how you say it, but it might be trying to giving you blinkers for you to understand that you are not doing okay. There might be things that you are just subconsciously, or it might not even be subconsciously, it could be consciously, where you are just stacking things under the rug. You're putting things under the rug and it's not being addressed. When you are being sad, it's usually a moment where you should slow down and you should reflect on how you're feeling and why it is that you're feeling like this. Sadness usually comes from a disconnection. It could be a disconnection from you being far away from God. It could be a disconnection to yourself, where you are either putting up a facade or a persona of you that isn't you. And now you are not being authentic to who you are. And it's internally all of these wounds that is inside of you. And it's slowly scarring you more than the initial damage that it did to you. Which is why when you are extremely sad, these can trigger depression. These can trigger self-pity. This can trigger the TMI suicide thoughts. This can trigger rejection. This can trigger fear, because sadness is emotionally something negative. It doesn't have any good corroboration to it. It doesn't have any positive corroboration to it either. You know, personally, I can relate, because there was a time where I felt extremely sad, and that was when I got disowned, because I felt rejection. I felt as if, why do I feel guilty for choosing God? Why do I feel guilty for being me? You know, and this sadness led me to feel where I have to isolate myself, because I felt like nobody could understand me. I felt like nobody was truly there for me, where in truth, there is so many people out there for me. But sadness will rob you of the true joy that you can feel. And sometimes the thoughts that you have in your mind isn't what the reality it is. Sometimes the thought that you have isn't even near the real things that's happening in real life. Let's look at it from a biblical standpoint of view, right? Satan is the prince of air. He will make you believe things that isn't there. He'll make you believe that you are unworthy when you are so loved by God first, and you are loved by the people around you. You are an amazing person with so many great skills, so many talents, all these different things. But Satan has a way of getting under people's skin. And the main goal of Satan is to steal, destroy, and to kill. He's not going to spare you. And I've said that so many times, but I just got to remind you that when you feeling sad and woozy and you're not feeling yourself, that's Satan trying to get at you. I'm just going to say, when Satan comes in, you have to speak words of affirmation to yourself. You have to affirm everything that you are, because if you don't tell yourself words of affirmation, who's going to do it? Who? And you know, the mind, the human brain is made in a sense of the more repetitive things you're telling yourself. There was this study with rice, and it was like a jar of rice, plain rice, and another one of another plain rice. And this person would speak words of affirmation to the rice every single day, words of love, words of affirmation, and they fermented it for 30 days, and it was in the fridge. And they did the same thing with the other rice, but the other rice was getting negative words every single day for 30 days. Now they put both of them in the fridge. After 30 days, the one jar where it was negative words, the rice rotted. But the rice where it got a lot of love wasn't rotted. It speaks volume to, okay, imagine what it does to rice. What could it do to the human mind? And scientifically, it is proven that you have to speak to yourself words of affirmation in order for yourself, your brain, to align with what you're saying of yourself, to now being able to live with it and assessing that, okay, that is me. But now if you keep telling yourself negative words, the brain is going to assimilate these negative words, and now that's what you're going to be living. And now you're living in a lie. And this is where I say to you, be careful the lies that you believe. Sadness is a lie. Sadness, essentially, once you fall into sadness, it can derive to so many different pathways. And I'm speaking from an experience of where I would get sad, I would feel like self-pity on 1,000 scale, where I will be like,
oh, I'm miserable. Why am I going through this?
And it didn't allow me to see the blessings that's in my life in that moment. Because in that moment, I have financially everything that I want. I have food, the house is clean, I have transportation, I have clothes the way I want it, I have everything. But somehow the sadness for a split 30 minutes made me forget how blessed I was. And this is where you have to snap out of it and remind yourself that you are worthy of the joy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy. And another thing too is sadness usually stems from things that you actually haven't dealt with internally. So now you have all of these emotional luggages that's following you months after months, months after months. Now you have your dream jobs, you have your dream car, you have a family, you have everything, but somehow you are unsatisfied. Why? Because you didn't sit down with yourself to assess how your heart was, your emotional posture. You know, the heart is deceiving, and that is the truth. The Bible says that the heart is deceitful. You have to be very careful the things that you say to yourself, because you might end up believing a lie when you are actually living somebody's wildest dreams and you are having the biggest blessings in your life. Now, it can be very complicated to confront sadness because it's mainly leading you to have to sit down and see what kind of pain am I going through? What kind of pain is hidden inside of me? And it's okay to process your feelings. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to go through your feelings, whether it is for a week or two. But just make sure you're not spiraling and staying in that, because I'll tell you, once you give sadness, right, the power over you, it's over. It's over because it's like, how do you say that? Okay, it's like you put a glass of water and the water is clear. Now you put a drop of mud, the whole glass of water is going to turn muddy. Why? Because the mud is so dirty, so filthy that it goes through the whole water. So imagine sadness. Sadness is the same thing. That's why I'm giving you a metaphor where you could visually see it, right? And now it's like that sadness is not going to fix it. It's not going to fix your feelings. And mainly that sadness is going to make you feel worse as the days is going by, as the month is going by. And you know, to confront your sadness, it will make you feel uncomfortable. But sadness, when you are truly confronting it, is going to allow you to expand. So look at your sadness as a tool to transform yourself. Look at your sadness as a stepping stone for you to grow and become a different person. Don't just sit there and be like, why am I always sad? Why? No. We all go through this. Trust me, we all go through that. Why do you think that there is people that lose family members, unfortunately by illness or whatever the case might be, and they are so sad that they get heartbroken syndrome, which is a true syndrome where your heart can't handle it and they die from it? Because sadness will destroy you. It will ruin you. And what is that? That's Satan. Because Satan's plan is to come, to steal, to destroy, and to kill. I apologize for this. Why do you get sad? I don't know exactly what it is in your heart, but I encourage you to sit down and reflect on what is it that you buried inside your heart, whether it was regret, whether it was discouragement, whether it is guilt, whether it is shame. I don't know what it is that you are carrying. And sometimes the weight that you are carrying isn't even as heavy as it may seem, but your emotions is leading you to see it as way more than what it actually is. And if there is one thing that I have learned, was sadness was for a season. Sadness led me to have a season of growth. In order for me to grow spiritually and mentally, I had to go through sadness. Now, one thing I'll tell you is if I didn't have people that encouraged me, that prayed with me, that poured these words onto me and letting me know that I have to pour that into myself, I don't think my mind would have gotten out of the water, because I was flooded, I was underwater, but I swam out. I swam out because I was like, well, I know who I am. I know the love that I have given. I know what kind of person I am. I know what kind of heart I have. So why would I be putting all these weights on me when it has absolutely nothing to do with me? When what people do to you, what people say to you, what people try to portray in all these different things, it's a reflection all of them. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. And sometimes you need to listen to people and their words, because their words will speak loud volume about the type of person that they are. They are the type of person that, unfortunately, they will go behind your back, even if you are being a very kind person to them, and find something negative to say about you. Why? Because they are not even fulfilled with themselves. This is where you need to remain where you are. And I'm giving this example because I know that's something that hurt me as I was growing. Yes, I might be young and I'm still growing, but that's something that hurt me, where I'm feeling that I'm being authentic to someone and I'm being genuine, and then it turns back that this person speaks about you. It just speaks volume about the type of person that they are. It speaks volume about the type of trauma that they have. Now, this has absolutely nothing to do with you, and that's where you need to step out. You need to also stand firm for yourself. If you are feeling sad right now, just know that you are not alone. And I encourage you to sit down, meditate, reflect on it, maybe take a notepad and you write down why are the reasons to probably why you are sad, and see if it is a lie or not, because most of the time they are lies. Now, there are other things where we can work on it. We can give and get better habits in order for us to feel much more joyful. Process it, live through it, cry it out, scream it out, whatever the case might be, but go through it and don't hold yourself back. Because essentially, if you hold your feelings and emotions back, you won't be able to fully filter it and being able to fully feel it until now you are able to be coming out of this phase and being a different person and growing and recognizing that, okay, it's just a phase. It's just a moment. It doesn't define everything that I am building on. It doesn't define the things that I went through in the past. And remember, sadness is coming from Satan. And when he does so, you take authority over your mind and remind yourself that he doesn't have any authority on your life. But God gave us the authority to trample on snakes and on scorpions. Until you choose to take authority, he will just dibble and dabble with you and play with you, have a football, soccer, whole game with you. He'll do the back and forth with you until you are on the ground, because that's what the devil does. He don't care. He don't. And I'm sorry to let you know, he really don't care, and he's never gonna be nice to you. I have to repeat it in every single videos because I feel like people don't really get that. Just know that the devil will never be your friend, and you should never befriend the devil also, because that's gonna be really leading you to pits of hell. But all of this to say, just reflect and make sure that you always put your best foot forward. That's it. Put your best foot forward. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best, and that's all that matters. And one last thing, just know that even in the darkest moments, there is always light, and it's always going to be a learning and teachable moment for you. So always try to make the most out of the chaos, because the chaos and the good works for the greater good for your life. Thank you again. This makes me so happy to be back. However, I hope you have a great night and stay tuned for another video. Mwah.